Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's me again, Rabbi Daniel Pernick, and I am thrilled to be sharing Shabbat with you today on this Friday, November the 13th. Now, some people think that 13 or Friday the 13th is a bad luck day, but in the Jewish religion, 13 is actually a very good luck number. Obviously, it's the age at which we celebrate bar mitzvah, and sometimes bat mitzvah for some Jews nowadays. One of the great Jewish scholars of all time, a man known as the Rambam. That's a pretty catchy title, right? The Rambam, Moses Maimonides. He wrote about the 13 principles of the Jewish faith, and that's also in a very famous Jewish song. So 13 is a good luck number for us. But anyhow, we've had some incredible weather during the week, so I'd like to start today by singing a song that is not really about the weather. We sing it from time to time. I think we might have even sung it last week. It's called Ma Yafeh Hayom. 3 Hebrew words, Ma Yafeh Hayom. They mean what a beautiful day it is today. And the last 2 words of the song are Shabbat Shalom, wishing us a peaceful Sabbath. And we certainly hope, as we have moved from a very wild and crazy election day and election week to hopefully a very peaceful, calm, happy, and healthy Thanksgiving, which will be coming up very soon, less than 2 weeks. We hope that we will be blessed with peace. And certainly on Shabbat, we always hope for peace. So let's sing together. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. What a beautiful day it is today, and we hope that we will all be blessed with a Sabbath of peace. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. We're going to continue now with a very upbeat song for Shabbat. This is known as Bim Bam. Bim Bam doesn't really mean anything, just some happy sounds. And the last 2 words of the song are the same last 2 words we had from the last song, Shabbat Shalom, a peaceful Sabbath. Just in case you don't know, this is a very traditional Jewish greeting, a peaceful Sabbath, Shabbat Shalom. We also say Good Shabbos. We have lots of different ways that we do it, but Shabbat Shalom is a very, very popular way to greet one another on this day as we prepare for Shabbat, which officially begins tonight as we get to sundown. Here we go. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, bim bam, bim 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Now, we're about to kindle the Sabbath light. But this past week, many of us kindled a different type of light. This is, of course, a Yortzeit candle, and it is customary to light this on the anniversary of someone's death. Well, this past Monday night was the 82nd anniversary of the terrible pogrom in Germany that was known as Kristallnacht. And we remembered the Jews of Germany. Many were killed, many were beaten, synagogues were burned. It was a terrible, terrible pogrom, which is an organized attack against a Jewish community. And it really, the world noticed, and they spoke up, and they paid attention for a couple of days, and then they moved on to something else, which, of course, enabled the villain, the tyrant, the cruel one, to continue on his way, knowing that the world was not really going to try to stop him. And that ended up resulting in the deaths of over 6 million Jews. So we certainly remember all the victims of Kristallnacht, and we hope that their memories will always live on as a blessing. But on Shabbat, we kindle different lights. And we are going to do these two, remembering the commandments to remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, and to observe the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Our Holy Torah has 5 books. The 10 Commandments appear in 2 of those books, but the words aren't exactly the same. In Exodus, it says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. In Deuteronomy, it says, observe the Sabbath day to keep it holy. And our tradition tells us that we light at least 2 lights, because one is for remembering the Sabbath and the other is for observing it, for actually doing something. So if you know the words of the blessing, please say it with me right now. This is a custom that is known in Yiddish as to bench licht, to say the prayer or the blessing over the lights. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe. You have sanctified us with your commandments, and you have commanded us to kindle the Sabbath light. And all together we say, Amen. I'm going to put these down right here. And since it is Shabbat, and we're actually going to be talking about a wedding, believe it or not. In a few minutes when we talk about the Torah portion, we will be talking about a wedding. So let's sing a very happy song, and hopefully you are happy, but if for some reason you're not that happy before this song, hopefully you will be afterwards. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, shout hooray, hooray. If you're happy and you know it, shout hooray, hooray. If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, shout hooray, hooray. If you're happy and you know it, do all 3. Hooray. If you're happy and you know it, do all 3. Hooray. If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, do all 3. Hooray. Okay. Very good. So hopefully we're all in a very good mood now, and we're ready to get that Shabbat feeling deep in our hearts, up in our heads, down in our toes, and all over us. Here we go. I've got that Shabbat feeling deep in my heart, deep in my heart, deep in my heart. I've got that Shabbat feeling deep in my heart today. I've got that Shabbat feeling up in my head, up in my head, up in my head. I've got that Shabbat feeling up in my head today. I've got that Shabbat feeling down in my toes, down in my toes, down in my toes. I've got that Shabbat feeling, down in my toes, down in my toes today. I've got that Shabbat feeling all over me, all over me, all over me. I've got that Shabbat feeling all over me today. Bump, bump. So my cat is here. My cat is singing along, just in case you hear anything in the background. I guess he's ready for Shabbat as well. But first we're going to sing a song about God. And this song that says that God is here, God is there, and God is truly, that's right, everywhere. God is here, God is there, God is truly everywhere. God is here, God is there, God is truly everywhere. Up, up, down, down, right, left, and all around, here, there, and everywhere. That's where God can be found. Up, up, down, down, right, left, and all around, here, there, and everywhere. That's where God can be found. So one of the beauties of Jewish worship is that it is usually pretty predictable. It's very, very structured. So we know that every morning and every evening we're supposed to say the words of the Shema Yisrael. We read Torah on Shabbat. In a traditional synagogue, we read Torah on Mondays and Thursdays as well. We know what we're doing. We can be innovative, we can be creative, but we have a basic structure. So we join together now in saying the very important and central teaching of the Jewish religion. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. We call this the Shema Yisrael. The words come from the 5th book of the Torah, Deuteronomy, chapter 6. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Okay. So I mentioned the wedding. I'm not going to tell you about the wedding yet, but I will tell you in a few minutes. But we know that at most Jewish weddings, the following song is played. It actually was not played at my daughter's wedding, which was a very, very traditional wedding about 8 years ago, and I couldn't believe it. They just kept singing and dancing the whole day and for hours and hours, but with all the songs they sang, Hava Nagila was not one of them. But we're going to sing it. Hava Nagila means come, let us rejoice and be happy and see people with a happy heart. Hava Nagila, Hava Nagila, Hava Nagila v'nismecha. Hava Nagila, Hava Nagila, Hava Nagila v'nismecha. Havaner, Havaner, Havaner ranana v'nismecha. Havaner ranana, Havaner ranana, Havaner ranana v'nismecha. Uru, Uruachim, Uruachim, Belev Sameach, Uruachim, Belev Sameach, Uruachim, Belev Sameach, Uruachim, Belev Sameach, Uruachim, Uruachim, Belev Sameach. So, for many, many years, when we got to the next song, I would always talk about our hope that we will have peace. Peace in our country, peace in the Middle East. Well, our country, I don't know if we're getting more peaceful. Things seem to be getting a little crazier. But in the Middle East, with Israel, things seem to be going very, very well, as more and more of Israel's Arab neighbors are making peace agreements with it. are recognizing Israel, and they're starting to do business together. They're opening their airports to each other. So things over there seem to be doing pretty well, but we've got to work on our country because clearly a lot of people are getting very angry with each other right now, which is not a good thing. So we pray that we will help to make that better, but also that God will help us as well. And that's what this prayer is. It's called Oseh Shalom. It's a very traditional prayer that actually comes from the last line of the prayer for the dead, the Kaddish. Oseh Shalom bimromav. May God who makes peace in the heavens above bring peace to us, to all Israel, and we add to all the good people of the world. We hope there will be peace. And then together we say, Amen. Here we go. Oseh Shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Okay. So I mentioned to you that we have a wedding, and it comes from our Torah portion this week. So you may remember that last week a lot of things happened in our Torah portion last week. But at the end of the portion, we had the very, very famous story of how Abraham was commanded by God to offer his son Isaac as a sacrifice. But of course, at the last minute, God stopped him and told him not to do it. So that whole episode has now passed. And that was last week's portion. Abraham and Isaac return home, and the first thing that happens is they notice that Sarah has died. There are stories about how it happened. We don't really know for a fact, but the one fact that we have there is that Sarah, the wife of Abraham, the mother of Isaac, died. And so the first part of the portion has to do with Abraham finding a burial place for her. And he finds these caves in an area called Hebron. And that is it's not all that far from Jerusalem. It's maybe a half-hour drive from Jerusalem. And even today, you can go to this place. It is a very holy place for Jews and for Muslims. It's called the Tomb of the Patriarchs. And according to Jewish tradition, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are all buried there, along with Sarah, Rebekah, and Leah. The only one of the patriarchs and the matriarchs who is not buried there is Rachel. Rachel is buried on the road to Bethlehem, where the book of Genesis in the Bible tells us she died while giving birth to Benjamin. Anyhow, that's the site. And it's an interesting story. It's past. Okay, now it's over. And Abraham looks at his son Isaac, and Isaac's a young man already. He's in his mid-30s. He's 37 years old, and he says, "You're still living at home. You should get married. Let's do something about this." And so Abraham sends his servant. Remember, Abraham was a very wealthy man. He's a prince. He sends his servant back to Abraham's hometown. And he says, find somebody there. And he gives him some assistance, some help in terms of how to find the right person, tells him what to do, and if she says the certain words, then she's the right one. And lo and behold, it happens, and it happens very, very quickly. And so before too long, Isaac has married Rebekah. Isaac in Hebrew is known as Yitzchak. Rebekah is known as Rivka. So that's the second generation of the patriarchs and the matriarchs. The first generation is Abraham and Sarah. The second generation is Isaac and Rebekah. And the third and final generation will be Jacob. And of course, Jacob has two wives. The one he thought he was marrying, which is Rachel, but also the one that he was tricked into marrying first, and that's Leah. So we have the wedding, and Isaac and Rebekah are married, and we learn about them, and they loved each other very much, and everything was very, very good. And when we get to next week's Torah portion, though, we're going to find out about that third generation, because Rebekah has a very difficult pregnancy. But there's a reason that it's so difficult. But like any good soap opera, we're going to tell you to come back next week, and we'll let you know what happens. All right? So this week's Torah portion mostly has to do with the burial of Sarah, the matriarch of the Jewish people. And then we learn about the beginnings of the relationship between Isaac and Rebekah. Okay? Also coming up on Tuesday of next week. Tuesday next week is the beginning of a new month in the Jewish calendar. We call this a Rosh Chodesh. Rosh means your head, right? Head. Chodesh means the month. So it's the head of the month. It's the head of the year. Like Rosh Hashanah is the head of the year. That's the Jewish New Year. This is not the head of the New Year. This is the head of the month. And it's a month that is a very joyous one on the Jewish calendar, because it is Rosh Chodesh Kislev. It is the first day of the new month of Kislev, and Kislev, of course, is the month in which Hanukkah begins, the 25th of Kislev. So we still have a little ways to go, but not that far. All right? So a lot going on, and a lot coming up. So now we're going to move to one of our closing songs. And, this week we commemorated Kristallnacht, as I said. And that was, according to many, kind of the beginning of the Holocaust. And one of the reasons that the Holocaust was as bad as it was is there was really no place for the Jews to go. America was not taking Jewish immigrants. Canada was not taking. Most of the countries in the world would not let Jews in. The one place where Jews could get in was Palestine. Remember, it was not Israel yet, but Palestine. The problem was the British were not really helping the Jews. They were kind of helping the Arabs, who by this point were also in Palestine, and the British were more helping the Arabs, and Jews who tried to get into Palestine were usually turned away, on land or on ship. So some got in, but a lot did not. So we're going to sing right now a song called Hatikva. It's the national anthem of Israel. And a reminder that for many, many reasons, Israel is so important, but it's also a homeland for the Jewish people. And we understand that if in the few years before the Holocaust and the 10 years before the Holocaust, had there been a state of Israel, our history could have been very, very different. So we're going to sing now Hatikva, which means the hope. Kol od balevav penima nefesh Yehudi homia ulfatei mizrach kadima ayin litzion tzofia od lo avda tikvateinu Hatikva bat shnot alpayim lihyotam chovshi be'artzeinu Eretz Tzion Yerushalayim lihyotam chovshi be'artzeinu Eretz Tzion Yerushalayim. Now I'd like to sing one other song, and this is one we don't sing all that often. It's a very simple song. It's called Shalom Chaverim. And I'm going to tell you why I want to sing it. So, one of my sons was participating in a program this past weekend commemorating the 25th anniversary of the assassination of Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin. So Yitzhak Rabin, or sometimes he's known as Yitzhak Rabin, but he was killed following a big peace rally on November the 4th, 1995. And a very, very sad day in Israeli history, and also a reminder of what can happen when we start getting very, very aggressive in terms of the way we talk about our national leaders. And it was a very bad time in Israel in terms of the way people talked about each other. And it only takes one, and some of those words went to somebody who took them a little too seriously, and he killed the Israeli prime minister. He was Jewish, but he killed the Israeli prime minister right after this peace rally. So it would be good words for our country to remember as well, just to be careful of what we say and how we say it. So when the President of the United States, Bill Clinton, spoke at the funeral for Yitzhak Rabin, and they were close, and he was a friend, and he said, Shalom Chaver. President Bill Clinton spoke Hebrew at the funeral, and he said, Shalom Chaver, goodbye, friend. And so that's what this song says. Shalom Chaverim, goodbye, friends, lehitraot. So it's not referring to any assassinations or anything like that, but the same words. So I thought it would be appropriate as we remember the Jews of the Holocaust, that we also remember the 25th anniversary of Yitzhak Rabin's assassination. So we sing Shalom Chaverim, lehitraot. Goodbye, my friends, until we meet again. Shalom Chaverim, Shalom Chaverim, Shalom, Shalom, lehitraot, lehitraot, Shalom, Shalom. Once more. Shalom Chaverim, Shalom Chaverim, Shalom, Shalom, lehitraot, lehitraot, Shalom, Shalom. Okay. So before we say Shabbat Shalom to one another, we take a moment to thank God for the many blessings that God has bestowed upon us. We traditionally do that with the fruit of the vine. And I've learned you have to close the bottle after you, just in case you spill. So we say the words of the blessing. In English, it means, blessed are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, the creator of the fruit of the vine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim. All right. So we've shared another Shabbat. Next week when we're together, it will be the new month of Kislev. And we hope that it will be a week and a month of celebration and joy. So this is Rabbi Daniel Pernick wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom. We ask God's blessings upon you as we conclude in the traditional words of the Torah. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. May the Lord's presence shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May the Lord's presence be lifted up upon you, and may God fill your life with the blessing of peace. Ken yehi ratzon. May it be God's will. So once again, Shabbat Shalom. Stay happy and healthy and safe, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. To all my friends at Northern Riverview Nursing Home, Shabbat Shalom.